The city of Bethlehem stood under a heavy, ominous sky, the wind whispering secrets of an ancient power awakening. Beneath the dark clouds, a figure cloaked in silver armor moved swiftly across rooftops, his eyes glowing faintly with an unearthly light. His name was David, but to the world he was known as the Redeemer, a hero with a mission that no one fully understood. He was born of prophecy, not merely a man, but a descendant of kings, chosen to bring balance to the fractured world. Today, however, his path was clouded by a deeper darkness. A new enemy had arisen, one fueled by a sin so powerful it threatened the fabric of everything David stood for. A villain named Lysandra had emerged from the shadows, a figure of immense beauty and terrifying power. She embodied envy itself, consuming those around her with jealousy and greed. The city had heard whispers of her growing influence, how she had manipulated the desires of the rich, turned families against each other, and sowed distrust among the people. Her power grew each day, fed by her insatiable longing for what others had, until it reached a point where even the might of David seemed insufficient to stop her. David had fought many battles before, but this was different. As he stood atop the highest tower of the city, he could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on him. The skies darkened with each passing moment, the air crackling with an unnatural energy. Lysandra was near, and with her, the people's deepest insecurities would be made flesh. The Redeemer knew this fight would not be won with brute force alone. He had to confront the sin that lay at the heart of Lysandra's power. In the shadows of an alleyway, Lysandra stood, her hands outstretched to the heavens. The sky seemed to respond to her call, swirling in dark, chaotic patterns. Her eyes were like blackened pools of malice, filled with the endless hunger for more. She spoke softly to herself, a mantra of resentment that had been her guide through the centuries. Why should they have it all when I have nothing? I am meant for more. They do not deserve what they have. Her voice dripped with venom, and the air around her thickened with envy's toxic presence. David descended from the tower in a blur of silver, landing before Lysandra with a crash that echoed through the alley. His armor glowed with divine light, a symbol of his sacred mission. "Your hunger will only lead to ruin, Lysandra," he declared, his voice both commanding and compassionate. "You are consumed by envy, and it blinds you to the truth. You were meant for greatness, but not through destruction." Lysandra's eyes flashed with anger. "You think you know me? You think you understand my pain?" She took a step forward, her form shifting, growing larger and more monstrous as she channeled the power of her sin. "I am not the problem. It's them, the ones who have everything I deserve. They will pay." David did not flinch. He raised his hand, and the divine light from his armor intensified, surrounding them both. "It is not too late to let go of your jealousy. You were chosen for a higher purpose, but you must surrender the darkness inside you." His voice resonated with the wisdom of the ages, but Lysandra was beyond reason. With a roar, Lysandra unleashed a blast of dark energy that tore through the streets, sending buildings crumbling and people fleeing in terror. The ground shook beneath David's feet, but he remained firm, his heart steady. He knew that if he could not break through to her, the city would fall, and the power of envy would spread beyond measure. As the battle raged on, David realized that Lysandra's power came not from her actions, but from her refusal to see the good in others. She had been shaped by the pain of her own desires, but also by a deeper wound, the absence of love. It was this truth that struck him like a bolt of lightning. In that moment, he reached out, not with violence, but with an offering of compassion. "You are not alone in your suffering. I have walked your path, but I chose the light. You can too." Lysandra paused, her monstrous form flickering with uncertainty. For a brief moment, she was a woman once more, vulnerable and fragile. David stepped forward, extending his hand to her. The air around them stilled, as if the world itself held its breath. In that instant, the power of envy began to dissolve, unraveling like smoke in the wind. But as the darkness receded, Lysandra's final act of defiance was a desperate scream, one that echoed through the city as she vanished into the night. David stood alone, the light from his armor dimming, but his heart remained strong. The city was saved, but the battle within Lysandra had left its mark. He knew that his mission was far from over. The war against sin was eternal, and each victory brought him closer to understanding the true nature of his power. Not through might, but through mercy.